This video is brought to you by mywayteaching.com.
In this particular part, we are going to study our next important chapter. The name of the chapter is Mechanical Properties of Fluids. Okay. In this particular chapter, we are going to study about the different properties of fluids. Mainly, we call liquids and gases as fluids. So, we are going to study about its properties in this chapter. The first is introduction. We're going to study about pressure, streamline flow, Bernoulli's principle, viscosity, Reynolds number, and surface tension. So we are going to study about all these concepts in this particular chapter. So let us begin with the first part, that is introduction. Okay. As I told you, liquids and gases can flow. So only they are called as fluids. Okay. We call liquids and gases as fluids. So it is this property that distinguishes liquids and gases from solids in a basic way. So the basic difference between the liquids and gases and solids is that solids cannot flow but liquids and gases can flow. Fluids are everywhere around us, isn't it? We'll see fluids in everywhere. Earth has an envelope of air and two-thirds of its surface is covered with water. Water is not only necessary for our existence, every mammalian living beings, including plants, are mediated by fluids. So, thus, this understanding of this fluid properties is very much necessary. What is the difference between these solid and fluids? One basic difference is that flow. Liquids and gases can flow, but solids cannot flow. Other than that, what are the some other differences that where what we can find in solids and fluids? See, unlike a solid, a fluid has no definite shape of its own, isn't it? The first one more difference is that shape. Fluids do not have a definite shape like solid. Solids and liquids have a fixed volume, whereas gas fills the entire volume of its container. So, in coming to this volume property, solids as well as liquids, they have a definite volume, but gases, it fills the container. That's it. There is no definite volume for gas, isn't it? That is one more difference. The volume of solid, liquid, or gas depends on the stress or pressure acting on it. So, when we talk about fixed volume of solid or liquid, we mean that its volume under atmospheric pressure. Okay. The difference between gases and solids or liquids is that for solids or liquids, the change in volume due to change of external pressure is rather small. In other words, we can say solids and liquids have much lower compressibility as compared to gases. Shear stress can change the shape of a solid, keeping its volume fixed. The key property of fluids is that they offer very little resistance to shear stress. Their shape changes by the application of very small shear stress. The shearing stress of fluids is about million times smaller than that of solids. Okay. here whatever we told, which means these solids and liquids have a definite volume, which means we are considering under atmospheric pressure. So if it depends upon the pressure, the volume, okay, it depends on the pressure. So when we consider under atmospheric pressure, these two solids and liquid have a definite volume, okay. And even in other words, we can say solids and liquids have a much lower compressibility when compared to gases. Okay, we can't easily change its shape because it has a lower compressibility compared to gases. Okay, so now let us study what is this pressure. You just think of an example here. A sharp needle, you just take a sharp needle, when it is pressed against the skin, it pierces it, isn't it? Our skin, however, remains intact when a blunt object with a wider contact area, say a back of spoon, is pressed against it with the same force. So when we take a spoon, that pain what we feel is very much less when we take when we compare it with a needle. Here area matters. Spoon has a wider area compared to needle, isn't it? That is one difference. So area matters for a force. If an elephant were to step on a man's chest, you just imagine his ribs would crack. A circus performer across whose chest a large, light but a strong wooden plank is placed first is saved from this accident. So, such everyday experience convinces that both the force and its coverage area are important, isn't it? From these examples, one thing we learned is that force as well as the coverage area both are important. When an object is submerged in a fluid at rest, the fluid exerts a force on its surface. This is so because if there were a component of force parallel to the surface, the object will also exert a force on the fluid parallel to it. As a consequence of Newton's third law, this force will cause the fluid to flow parallel to the surface. Okay. Since the fluid is at rest, this cannot happen. Hence, the force exerted by the fluid at rest has to be perpendicular to the surface in contact with it. We can see that in the figure A. See here. The force exerted by the liquid in the beaker on the submerged object. Okay, the force exerted by the liquid in this particular beaker on this submerged object or on the walls is normal to the surface. Okay, this force is normal to this surface, isn't it? You can see that it is normal to this surface at all points. Okay. The normal force exerted by the fluid at a point may be measured. An idealized form of one such pressure measuring device is shown in this figure. We can measure the what we can say the force which is exerted by the fluid at a particular point. Okay, this is a equipment for that, an idealized device for measuring pressure. Okay, this is a device which is used for measuring pressure. It consists of an evacuated chamber with a spring. This is an evacuated chamber and this is spring, isn't it? that is calibrated to measure the force acting on the piston. So this device is placed at a point inside the fluid. The inward force exerted by the fluid on the piston is balanced by the outward spring force, and it is thereby measured. Okay. Now, if we consider F as the magnitude of normal force on the piston of area A, then we can write average power as the normal force acting per unit area. Okay. Average power pressure is given by the force acting per unit area. Okay. We can write it as F by A, isn't it? In principle, the piston area can be made arbitrarily small. Then we can write the pressure as limiting sense. In the limiting sense, we can define it as limit as delta A tends to 0, delta F by delta A gives pressure. So this pressure is a scalar quantity. Okay. And it is the component of the force normal to the area under consideration, not the force that appears in the numerator in equation that we just studied, that is P is equal to F by A. Okay. And its dimensional formula is given by m L raised to minus 1 T raised to minus 2, and SI unit is given by Newton per meter square. It has been named as Pascal in honor of the French scientist Blaise Pascal, who carried out pioneering studies on fluid pressure. Okay, a common unit of pressure is atmosphere. We also use another unit called as atmosphere for measuring pressure, which is the pressure exerted by the atmosphere at sea level. Okay, we can write it as 1 atmosphere is equal to 1.013 into 10 raised to 5 Pascal. Okay, this is the value of 1 atmosphere. Okay. Another quantity that is indispensable in describing fluids is the density, isn't it? For a fluid of mass m occupying volume V, we can write density as mass by volume. This is one of the important property of fluid. Again, its dimensional formula is given by mass m L raised to minus 3. And the SI unit is kg per meter cube. Okay, this is the SI unit. It is also a positive scalar quantity. Okay. A liquid is largely incompressible and its density is therefore nearly constant at all pressures. Gases, on the other hand, they exhibit a large variation in densities with pressure. The density of water at 4 degrees Celsius is given by 1 into 10 raised to 3 kg per meter cube. This is the density of water at 4 degrees Celsius. Okay. The relative density of a substance is the ratio of its density to the density of water at 4 degrees Celsius. It's a dimensionless positive scalar quantity. For example, if I say the relative density of aluminium is 2.7, its density is 2.7 into 10 raised to 3 kg per meter cube. The densities of some common fluids you can see in this particular table. For water, it is 1 into 10 raised to 3 kg per meter cube. For seawater, mercury, ethyl alcohol, whole blood, air, oxygen, hydrogen, and interstellar space. Okay, these are the densities of some common fluids. Okay.